If you're looking for an exercise that gives you a burn, but almost no functional carryover into your daily life or athletics, then do a wall sit. Otherwise, stay tuned. This is Grant with SMOOV, and in this video, I'm going to break down why the wall sit may not be the best exercise for you and your fitness goals. I'll also provide 3 alternative exercises that are gonna get your legs crazy strong, increase your athleticism, and make you really durable in daily life and athletics. Be sure to hang around to the end of this video where I'll give you 3 details on how to take these moves to the next level. I'll also give you some simple pointers on how to integrate this stuff into your exercise program. So why do wall sits suck? Well, I really don't think wall sits are a bad exercise. In fact, I don't think any exercise is a bad exercise. It's really within the context of what our body needs and what we're training for specifically. Those factors are gonna determine whether a particular exercise is good for you or bad for you. First thing to notice is that this is an incredibly quad and knee dominant position. So many people recommend the wall sit for knee pain, but this actually puts a lot of stress on the knee. One of the things that people like to say about the wall sit is that it's supported. Yes, I'm able to drive my back into the wall. What that does though, is it almost completely turns off the support system for my glutes and my hamstrings. And I feel all of this tension going through my knee and my quads. So we're practicing a position that doesn't really balance out the musculature of our legs. And that's the thing. If your goals are to perform better and function better in your daily life and athletics, this position will not do it on its own. You're going to have to incorporate some stuff that gets into the backside of your body. I'll show you how to do that right now. If you're digging this video, be sure to give it a like. Really appreciate it. So the first thing we want to do to balance out this wall sit position is lift our hips up. So I'm going to place my hands back on the wall and I'm simply going to slide my hips up the wall. Now you can automatically see I'm in a bit more of a hinge position. I'm going to walk my feet back so now my ankle is right underneath my knee. I'm going to karate chop the hips back, and I might even want to hike up the glute meat on the wall. To start out, you can simply have your heels on the ground. But once you lift those hips, you can also lift the heel just slightly. And now I can pressurize through the ball of my foot into the ground, through the ground, and feel that support back up into the pelvis. I can choose how much I want to hinge here. The big key is just making sure that I am stacked with my rib cage. So if I'm overly flared, that's gonna put excess stress on my spine. And then if I'm overly flexed, that's also going to be a position that we don't necessarily wanna train. I have my knees and my ankles in line with my hips. I'm in a slightly hinged position. I'm probably feeling a little bit more activation through my hamstrings. I still got the quads, but I'm also bringing those nice big glutes into the picture, that main support structure for our body. Now, as you hold this position, you might start to get some shakes, just like you would with the wall sit, but you're probably feeling it a lot more throughout the rest of the body. And that's what we want. We want to distribute that connection throughout the whole body, not just have it fixated in some area. If we want to take this into the legs a bit more, I can take it into the squinge hold. So all I would do there is my knees are parallel. I'm gonna slide my butt against the wall and I'm just gonna bow the knees out slightly. I wanna make sure that I continue to drive through that outer pad of the foot and the big toe pad to establish that outer line and that inner line up the legs. And now I can have a little bit more engagement through those quads. I can still be supporting everything through my lower body and continue to develop that connection through the feet, up through the pelvis and the hips, up through my spine and my total posture. Another move that you can use to work on that squat pattern in a supported fashion is the forward leaning squat. So I'm gonna stand a few feet away from the wall. I'm gonna place my hands against the wall, start by pulling my hips back. This is gonna give me a good indicator of where I feel most supported. So I'm actually gonna walk back a little bit further. And because I have that forward lean, the heel, we're not going full calf raise, but we're gonna get off the heel just slightly. Getting into the ball of the foot, a lot of that springy athletic area of your body. So from here, I'm simply gonna lower down into a squat and come back up. My hands are about chest height, maybe a little bit lower. I'm pulling back through the hips, creating a nice hip crease. I really like this movement because if I find myself coming into my knees a little bit too much, I notice that I'm not getting that stretch through the back side of my body. So I press into the wall, I press back through the hips, and I'm up. Just like the wall sit, we can pull back through the hips, get into those knees. Eyes are up, pressing into the wall, using the wall as support, and working on this iso hold. So all the same stuff is available with this forward leaning squat that you would get out of the wall sit, but now you're able to work on a more functional and practical position for your goals. The last move I want to show you in this video is a wall squat. Now, I know all these terms are basically the same thing, but here's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna be about arm's length away from the wall, completely vertical with the heels on the ground. Start to sink into more of a vertical squat. I can slide my hands down the wall as I need to. Again, if I just wanna pause, hang out, it's right there. I can continue to work down. Notice the difference here. I can totally get into my hip joints and use this stuff as opposed to, whoa, whoa. That's what the wall sit is training us to get really far back in a position that we don't even access in daily life. As you start to get better at the wall squat, you can come closer to the wall. And the big focus is on that experience of your body. Not so much the shape that Grant's in right now, not so much the shape that is ideal, but what is going on throughout my body. So I'm driving through my feet. I'm feeling the connection up into my hips, making sure my rib cage isn't here, making sure my rib cage isn't here. I'm connected through the core. And if I lose any of that, then I know that's my stopping point. Driving through the feet, I come back up and I stand tall. And what's really nice about this one is you can start to take off that level of support. You don't have to be so reliant on the wall. And that's ultimately what we want to train. We want to get away from the wall. Use this as a tool to make us better. Now that you got the exercises, here are 3 details on how you can take these moves to the next level. Number 1, dial in the relationship between your rib cage and your pelvis. So we want to have some sort of stack regardless of what exercise we're in. So whether I choose to be, let's say, a little bit more knee dominant, I can still make sure that my rib cage and my pelvis are stacked. And then if I choose to change the angle of, let's say, my hips and my hip hinge, a little bit more forward lean through the torso, I'm still making sure that I'm stacked through my rib cage and I'm setting myself up for success. Again, if I go into more lean forward, I want to make sure that I'm feeling this in the hip crease and the loading back through the hips. And then if I choose to come up more, again, I'll probably feel a little bit more in the knee and the quad. Number 2, I want to be aware and intentional of my foot positioning. I can have my feet pointing forward underneath my knees. I can also choose to widen out a little bit more. And if I choose to do so as well, I could be a little bit more angled in. And you can see this is not only happening through the feet, but also up in the hips. And then same thing, I can spin maybe out. Changing up these variables in the exercises will allow you to get stronger in different positions and different ranges. This is key in being a more dynamic mover, and you can also train for specifics that show up in particular sport or activity. Whatever you're doing through your feet, just make sure that you're being intentional with it rather than being disorganized with your positioning. Lastly, we want to engage the inner and the outer lines of the lower body with internal and external torque. So if I spiral through my hip, yes, you'll notice a little bit through my foot here as well and through the ankle. The knees come in and I'm starting to feel a little bit more engagement along that inner line. If I want to take that to the outer line, I would externally torque, and now you're seeing more of that bow shape. This allows me to feel into that lateral hip and the lateral calf, opening up that arch as well. Big key with this one is not to go into extremes right away. So really feeling into the internal torque, what's available for you in an active range. And then same thing, this could be a really small angle here. You don't have to go super far out to get a lot of benefit. The big focus is staying connected to the hips and dialing in that pelvis. Now on to integrating this into your exercise program. Pick 1 to 2 of the exercises that we went over in this video and include them in workouts 3 to 4 times a week. Perform 3 to 4 sets of 45 to 60 seconds time under tension. Whether it's an iso hold or working through a particular range in one of the exercises, that time under tension is really what we're going for. We want to build that muscular endurance and that connection through your body. So throw the idea out that you need to do a particular number of reps and simply use that time to connect to your body. As you start to feel more confident with these exercises, progress the movements by adding more time under tension and increasing the active range that you move through. Be sure to circle back to this video and brush up on the details. Those things are really what's going to allow you to connect with these exercises and connect with your body more effectively. That's it. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the video and you want to show support, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop something in the comments. Let us know what you learned. Let us know what your takeaway was from this video. As always, stay smooth.